So I will walk you through my site in just a couple of minutes. Before I get to the site, I wanted to make sure that you know about the blog that exists, about the Canvas pilot. And this is a very nice entry by Andrew Rivers. He is in physics and is also one of the people who are piloting Canvas. And I love his description. He has these stages he described: anticipation, panic, and satisfaction. And that's exactly what happened to me. And so I wanted to take you through these stages and then explain to you why I decided to participate in the Canvas pilot, how I used Canvas, and and then I'll tell you a little bit about what the students are thinking and how they reacted to Canvas. So I guess in late August we had a session for people in the pilot, for faculty in the pilot, and a Canvas employee walked us through Canvas, how to use it, what you can do with it. By the end of the session, it was I think a 2-hour session, by the end of the session I walked up to Les and I said, there's no way I can do this. I cannot in 3 weeks build a site in Canvas, no way. Then I went home and I got a good night's sleep and I remembered why I wanted to do it. And so I emailed Les, I said, okay, I can do it. I calmed down. And I really, one important thing for me to keep in mind was what was it that I didn't like about Blackboard? And there are two main things I am dissatisfied with when I work with Blackboard. To me, it's too one-directional. It's too focused on the instructor. So I feel there's not enough places within the system that the students can contribute to the site easily. The places that are in place where they can contribute, the discussion board, you might all have used that. I think it's terrible. The students don't like it, and I think it does not facilitate a good discussion online. So that was something I really didn't like about Blackboard. The other main point I didn't like about Blackboard was its structure, that it's this collection of files basically and folders that collects materials well, but it's not flexible enough for the way I use digital material. So yeah, I think I don't have to show you the discussion feature within Blackboard. You're familiar with that. I always found it cumbersome to use, and I'll show you the one in Canvas in a second. So when I was still using Blackboard, I would use other tools to make up for what I saw as weaknesses in Blackboard. So for example, at some point I used Facebook for the social functions. I did not like blurring the lines between sort of the students' social environment and classes, so I dropped that. I used a site called Lore, which is I was not happy with. The students didn't like it. I used a tool called Scoop It, where students can post links. That worked well, but it's really just one function, and it's an additional tool you have to use along with Blackboard. Then I used Google Sites, I used Google Docs, and at some point I had all these links open during my class, and it was getting very cumbersome and unwieldy. Students had to have several accounts. So the good news about Canvas is that I feel I can consolidate all these different functions into the Canvas site. And so maybe let me just now take you to the site, and then I imagine Vicki and Les will talk you through different ways of setting up Canvas. There are different ways how you can set it up, which is good and bad, right? I think that was one part where I thought, oh my God, it's too overwhelming. So if you feel like this after the 2 hours today, like, don't worry. I think you'll come around, and they'll show you some ways, and I think we'll show you how we set it up, and then you can think about it some more. When I talked to my students last week about Canvas, and I solicited their feedback, one of the students said she was kind of exasperated, and she said, well, thankfully it's a website. And so I think what she was saying was that Blackboard to them is not a website. It's this weird course management system, but doesn't function like a website. And that was sort of one main piece of feedback, that to them this is a website. They know what this is. So I just thought that, to me, summarized what I had really almost like on a gut level been feeling, and then they just said, well, this is a website. Functions like a website. I can use it like any other website. And the nice thing for me in my class is they can easily build their own sites, and I'll show you. So maybe just to walk you through it a little bit, I kept this very simple because I only had a few weeks to set it up. So what I decided was I have a main page where I would always post the homework for the next session. I have the homework in another place too, but I wanted to have it in at least 2 locations so that they can find it for sure. So let me just show you how I set it up. So the students have the overview here, and then for me it was just the easiest way to set it up by week, and each week is a particular topic. So I created a page for each week, and what I really like about Canvas, let me just show you one maybe. Here, let's see, maybe this. So whereas in Blackboard, you would have certain things in one folder and the homework in another place, and then when you have notes, you put them in a 3rd place, and then you may have some other materials that go into a 4th place. It's all here on this one page. And again, Andy Rivers, I think he used this term of what did he say, like command central, and that's really what I found. So I posted the information before class for homework onto the site. Then we used it during class, and sometimes I would even type notes onto it and keep it all on this one site. And again, it's very easy to use, and it's, you can post links very easily. If some of you have used WordPress, it's similar in the sense how you post things on there. Very easy. Very intuitive. Okay, so then let me just show you a few other things that the students really liked. So the students said the discussion function is, I think I'm quoting, they said it's 1,000,000 times better than on Blackboard. Can show you, you maybe squeeze your eyes so that you don't see the students' names, or but let me just show you. Okay, so what you can see here, that little pictures come up for each student. That's something you can set up in People. Each student sets up a profile with, I had them post a picture. I said, if you absolutely do not want to post a picture, that's fine, but they all did. And then they told me later that they really like that function, because then they remember, oh, that's that person. And my class is relatively small, but in bigger classes that might be helpful if the students recognize each other. And under People, under Profiles, I won't show you now because I think we don't want to reveal too much information, but you can have little profiles set up with their interests and a picture and maybe just some more personal information. Okay, but this is what the discussion function looks like. So it's just a very clean, easy to use design. You can post links, you can link back to some other pages within Canvas, all very easy to use. And then, yeah, so that's another nice thing about Canvas, that everything can be linked to each other very easily. Okay, so that's the discussion. Let's see, what else? Let me show you. So the other nice thing that I liked. So in previous classes, I've used Google Sites, and I used Baboogle through Blackboard, which I often found a little cumbersome to use as well. But I always wanted students to create a simple website that the other students can use and see. And they can do that within Canvas. One feature I really like is, so let me just show you a page the students created. Again, I kept it simple. They didn't have to program or they didn't have to come up with any intricate designs. Pretty straightforward. But what I wanted you to show, let's see, so when you can easily, you can decide who can edit a page. So either it's just you, but here I decided I edit, the students edit, and then we can all create and contribute to a site. So that is something I really liked. So maybe two possible disadvantages or things that I didn't like as much. There is a pretty heavy emphasis within the design on assignments and grades, which I think, again, to a lot of you and to the students, that makes a lot of sense. To me, sometimes it focuses a little bit to the students too much on assessment and the grade. There is a function within Canvas for the students called what if, so they can type in, what if I drop assignment 2 and 3 and 4, will I still pass the course? That's not really how I'd like to talk to them about learning, but again, I think the students appreciate it. Someone used the word transparent. They find the whole thing very transparent, I think, both in terms of the layout and the aesthetics, but then I think also in terms of they can very easily see their assignments, they can see the grades, so I think they appreciate it. Canvas pulls in a lot of cloud-based tools, which again I think is a huge advantage, but sometimes can be a disadvantage when these other tools are somewhat, maybe they can be fragile or something can happen. So there is a tool that you can use for grading. It's called Crocodoc. Some of you might know that or have used it. It's, I think, generally for collaborating on writing. And when I used that at home, I think I might have had some problem with my internet connection, so the whole tool sort of collapsed and I couldn't make any comments in that moment. I sent an email to Canvas. They responded pretty quickly. They said, we don't quite know what's happening, but it is probably your internet connection. But so since it's a cloud-based service, that was one of, I just in that moment couldn't rely on that tool. And I find the tool itself not that intuitive to use, but that might just be me. Any other disadvantage? Let's see. No, I think that's really my two main points. I don't see any other disadvantages. And the students, as I said, have been very positive. No, not one of them would want to go back to Blackboard. I guess they have to, but they do not want to go back to Blackboard. Let's see, anything else? So I think I told you the navigation they find easier. They like that it has a good app. They like the mobile app. For the phone in particular, I think they were not so happy about the iPad app. Maybe you have similar things to say. And I think they like, maybe the last thing, they really like the social function of it, but they also made it very clear that they like the separation between class and Facebook. When I asked them, because for next quarter I'd like to pull in maybe Twitter and a few more social tools, but they were very clear. They said, leave us alone on Facebook. That's basically not, you don't belong there. And that was always my sense, but I had never heard it so clearly. So I think that's all I want to say, that I'm no longer panicked about Canvas. I am now panicked that someone might take it away from me again. So, okay, so pass it on to Gad.